right, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Before we begin, would you just mind giving a brief description of yourself?
Sure. My name is Jon Woods. I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I served for 10 years, from 1997 to 2007. I was in many places traveling with the Corps, but having seen action in both Bosnia, and then I was in the Pentagon on 9/11.
All right, on to our first question. Why did you want to join the military?
That's a great question. Lots of reasons. I think there's some selfish and there's some that you kind of look at and you reflect upon and say, I know I wanted to serve my country. I know I wanted to go and do bigger things, be part of a bigger team. But I also knew that I wasn't ready for college. I didn't want to do 4 more years in school. And I knew that it might have been my only chance to get out of Aurora, is where I grew up. So I wanted to have a chance to kind of see the world.
All right. Next question. What did you do in the military and where did you deploy?
So like I said before, I deployed to quite a few places. It wasn't necessarily full-length deployments. It wasn't the 6-month deployments as normal, but I got to work for the Commandant of the Marine Corps, who's the highest ranking member of the Marine Corps, and that had me stationed in the Pentagon. But from there, we would go to places, as I said before, Bosnia. We were in Iraq, Afghanistan, Japan, all over the world, not necessarily always in a combat environment. But we were able to travel and to do lots of really cool and exciting things. I would say best places I was able to see were probably like Ireland and Australia. It's just a really cool opportunity to be able to see and explore the world. I really got what I wanted out of the military.
What do you remember about adapting to military life?
I remember it being hard. But I also remember it being fun. So there's a lot of times where the only way to get through that difficulty was to kind of joke around about it, smile with your friends, rely on camaraderie, rely on your pals, your buddies, your I guess they call them foxhole mates or fighting mates, whatever services use. But just your fellow Marines. For me, I relied on them, and they kind of got me through it.
What skills or lessons did you learn from your service?
Probably discipline would be the most important, I would say. Paying attention to detail, making the little things count, and then the big things kind of fall into place. I know it sounds a little bit backwards probably, but if you focus on the little things, you're never really worried about the big picture. You're just worried about what's in front of you. There's so many things. You learn about loyalty, you learn about patriotism, you learn about compassion and sacrifice. All those things, make you into a better person, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know we just talked about like external lessons. So, like, what did you learn about yourself?
I learned that if I really wanted to do something, that I could do it. If I really wanted to achieve something, if I set a goal, and that's another thing that the military helps you with, is that when you set a goal, they push you towards achieving that, whether it's personal or professional. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was, both physically and mentally, and I learned that no matter how hard a situation seems, persevere, keep pushing, and you're going to get through it.
All right. What were some life lessons that you learned from your military service?
I think a lot of those that I just mentioned kind of play into that. Persevere, and but I will tell you one of the coolest lessons that I shouldn't say lessons, but maybe experiences that I ever saw. So 9/11, being in the Pentagon and experiencing the tragedy of that day, it's not really all of that I remember. I don't know if it's that I choose to block it out. What I remember is September 12th and September 13th and September 14th. And the patriotism and the kindness and the compassion that was shown. And those are the kind of things that I, as a military member or somebody who fought for freedom or put on that uniform every day, those are the kind of things that you fought for. Those are the things that you wanted to remember. And to see the abundance of those qualities, to see the abundance of that compassion and caring, it changed me. And so everything that I do now, I try to raise my kids to show those same things. I try to volunteer down here at the VFW, or to volunteer in the community, work with the high school kids, work with wherever I can, to just kind of show that it's more than anything. It's the compassion, it's the caring, it's the brotherhood, it's loving that person on your right and on your left.
All right. How did you stay in touch with family and friends that weren't in the military?
Well, that's a good question. So I'm not as old as some of the other vets down here, but I was old enough to where we didn't have cell phones readily accessible at the time. So there was a lot of times where there was letter writing. There was, videos that were sent back and forth. As cell phones became more popular, I think my favorite all-time way of communicating was when they had that the Motorola Chirp thing, where you could walkie-talkie. Those were, being military, what's cooler than that? Playing with walkie-talkies, right? More so than the ways that we kept in touch was just the frequency that you kept in touch, and knowing that even if it wasn't every single day, a letter back and forth could mean the world. It could absolutely change your day. It could change your perspective. It could change the way you're thinking. It can make everything good. And those letters, those phone calls mean the world to our soldiers, or our sailors, our airmen and Marines that are out there.
Did you meet any lifelong friends while you were serving?
Yeah, I did actually. I've got a friend here who lives 1.2 miles from me here in Batavia. We never knew each other until I joined the Corps, and about a year and a half later, he joined, and he's from a small town in Illinois, and like I said, never knew him, had never met him before. We became like best friends. I still consider him one of my best friends. Our life paths have really mirrored each other. I'm married to a teacher here in Batavia. He's married here to a teacher in Batavia. I still work for the government. He still works for the government. He's watched my kids grow up. I watch his kids grow up. So it's really cool.
Was there anything that you took for granted about civilian life when you transitioned to military life?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think probably just the ability to do what you want when you want to do it. I had talked before about like setting goals, and I learned that I could do whatever I wanted to, that I could achieve whatever I set my mind to. It was a little bit difficult to adjust to not being able to do that in the time that I wanted to do it, but I would ultimately get it done. So that might have been one of the harder parts. Is the hardest transitions was just not having the ability to maybe move at my pace.
Is there anything that you wish civilians understood about the military or like military life?
I don't know that I could answer that saying that I know that there's something, or I wish there was something they understood. I just hope that they know that their support is so incredibly important. The men and women down here at the VFW are veterans, whether it's at the American Legion or it's at, it might be at an AMVETS, for instance. We don't do anything without their love and support. And that means when we're overseas, or when we're on deployment, or when we're here stateside on base, we don't do anything without the civilians that support us. I wouldn't be where I am today without my wife. I wouldn't be where I am today without my kids. And there's so many other soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who could say the exact same thing. So I don't want to point out differences. I'd really rather point out what, brings us together and what makes us stronger.
how was it transitioning from military back to regular civilian life?
Honestly, that transition, I don't know if it's fully taken a hold yet. I don't think the military ever really leaves you. You can transition from military to civilian, but again, I work for the government still, and there's still those core values and core beliefs that you have that stay with you for your entire life. Again, I think there's a saying out there that say, not as lean, but still as mean for Marine Corps. I think I feel that a little bit more every day. I might look a little bit different than I did when I was in uniform, but who I am inside hasn't really changed. It's really not been groundbreaking that when I took off the uniform that there was such a big difference from civilian life for me, or for that matter for a lot of people. There are some that have a hard time adjusting, but that wasn't the case for me. Just every day, get up, give your best, try to give back, repeat.
Did you see any changes in what you value or appreciate after your service?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say when you're young, when you're younger, I don't know that you always fully appreciate family and friends, and like I talked about before, kindness, compassion, love, the things that really matter, and that the reason why anybody really should fight. Those are really the only reasons that anybody should ever really fight. And when I was 18, I didn't understand all that, but I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of what our military members do every single day to defend, or to defend our liberties, to protect our rights, but more so than anything, to allow us to be in a place where all of those, kindness, compassion, love, we can make that our own thing. So those are the things that really resonate with me. Those are the things that I hang on to every single day, is just trying to make the world a better place.
Any additional details or stories?
I think I would just really drill down on, if I could pass anything along, like I feel that we're at a place in our history and in time where the things that we value and the things that we protect are in jeopardy, and not necessarily from external enemies. We just need to do a better job of, as Americans, we're not each other's enemies. We have ways to see the other side, to see the other person, the person behind the lens, the person, that I'm looking at now, the person I'm looking at. We might not always agree. The great part is that it's been said before plenty of times. I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend with my life your right to say it. And I think if we could take a step back and just kind of really listen to that and let that meaning settle and have it be impactful, it just means that, we don't have to be the same religion, we don't have to be the same race, we don't have to be the same color, we don't have to be the same creed, we don't have to be from the same political party. We just need to be Americans. We need to be decent. We need to be the shining example. President Reagan said it at one point, the shining city on the hill. We need to get back to that. That's something worth defending, something worth fighting for.